All right, welcome to the second review, third video, and final bit for the week as far as this review session goes. Up this time is NBB.exe. NBB.exe is a challenging, fast-paced puzzle platformer. Bomb your way to victory through devious gauntlets to reveal the secrets of the mysterious Neon Corporation in a modern reimagination of Bomberman with a Metroidvania twist. Right, so this game was given to Galix for review, so over to him for the details.
So yeah, they're definitely going for Bomberman, but I think they missed several of the things that made Bomberman good.
So it's an
Uh,
Act Zero.
Actually, excuse me one second.
Hey,
So remember that one N64 Bomberman where the explosions weren't crosses; they were just little circle thingies, and there was a little bit more maneuvering and stuff in
that was
organic environments.
that was Bomberman 64, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Also, there's a lot of platforming.
Oh,
You are straight from a top down. You're from a very close to top down perspective, but there's a lot of verticality that isn't always super evident, and the bomb explosions are, they're not. First off, I don't think there are any power ups. I think the bomb explosion size is fixed. And you actually don't have to do that much bombing. There's aside from when you're fighting things or when there are things. It's a lot more time. Also, there's not really anything particularly Metroidvania aside from that you need to progress to new areas. So yeah, there's this thing where you're robots, and it's a complicated cyberpunky type story where you're in a sport called Neon Blast Battle, and clearly they expect you to die after about the first world, but you don't, so you keep going, and apparently, if you keep going, there's obviously some kinds of conspiracy regarding the whole, situation. Um, I didn't get that far because, frankly, the platforming is a little bit clunky, and I had some. The other important thing about Bomberman generally, for the battles in it, is that you see the whole screen at once, and particularly in the boss fights in this one, you don't. When you get hit, you get bumped back to a previous checkpoint, which is probably not going to be on the same screen. And then the first boss arena, you can see maybe being generously being generous a little under a quarter of the screen at a time, and the boss takes up like an entire quarter of the screen. And that's just for the first phase, because after that, there's a significant platforming challenge. So your verbs in this game are jump, bomb, which is lay a bomb, kick, which I think only functions to move bombs, though that can be useful. And dash, and you can dash on the ground 3 times in succession to evade things or get around things, and you can also do an air dash in the air. Uh, all of which are, you know, not too bad. The air dash is a little clunky because you have a little bit of a roll on landing, so you have to make sure you don't fall off of a platform that will kill you if you fall off of it. And there's a lot of lasers that have to either be jumped over or avoided slash blocked. Those seem to be the main objectives. There aren't really much in the way of enemies to blow up, at least for most of the game, at least for the part of the game I got to. I wouldn't be surprised if they start having a bit more of them later on, but I can't say anything because, again, I was stuck on the first boss for like half an hour. At least 15 minutes of which was spent figuring out what you're supposed to do to hurt it. Because it does say that it is puzzle-oriented and you're supposed to try to figure stuff out on your own. But your only real method for figuring stuff out is trial and error. And you don't always get a lot of feedback on your error. So, for example, the first boss is a big thing that the entire thing doesn't fit on the screen all at once unless you're so close to it that you die from contact damage. Its main thing that it does is send out shockwaves, which are either the entire size of the arena or like a little bigger than it, and you have to jump over them if they're the size of the arena, but if they're only a little bigger than it, you can just be away from it. You usually have to, the dash does not have any iframes at all. You just have to jump over lasers. And the other lasers you have to avoid their hit zone. The lighter yellow lasers are double high, I guess, so you can't jump over them. The other thing the boss does is shoot a big fuck-off laser that you can dodge. Actually, that was relatively low threat. And then the other thing it does is that it sends out a little aiming cursor, and then later jumps in the air and lands where that cursor is. So the way to hurt it in the first phase is you have to set a bomb in the cursor so that it lands on your bomb after it jumps. Then it will flail, not around, it stays in one place, shooting out shockwaves across the whole arena, where you have to get to 2 flashing parts on its body and set a bomb there to actually hurt it. And then you get onto the second phase, which is a platforming challenge involving many switches and moving platforms, which was hard. And once I got to that, it was fairly straightforward because I could at least tell where I was supposed to be going. But at first I thought you just had to bomb the legs on the guy because it looked like a spider tank, and that's usually what you do with those. I don't even remember what made me think of trying to bomb the targeting reticle, aside from thinking, well, its underside might be vulnerable, and if I get too close to it, I die. So I did eventually beat that, and then you have to go through a platforming... Once you get back to the thing after you don't die to the thing that was supposed to kill you, you go through some platforming stuff to get to the second phase of the overworld. And there's more levels with more challenges, but I only got to like a couple of those. So yeah, I like the general aesthetic of the game and some of the ideas that it has, but there are some significant problems. Thankfully, it doesn't seem to happen much in the actual stages, but in the overworld, the glowing "This is you" outline around my character model sometimes separated from the actual character, which was not great. As Pettyfan is no doubt experiencing now, in the actual stages, there is a lot of verticality to these jumping sections, and you have a shit-ass camera angle for any kind of verticality.
I've also noticed some weird, I guess, like, bokeh, at least attempt at doing, like, bokeh stuff, and it's not landing. Like, I almost wondering if it's graphical bug, not intentional, like, trying to do film stuff.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. Oh, there's vending machines around the world, around the overworld area, that have fizz and something called ion charge or something in them. And if you drink them, the fizz makes your view thing get all pixelated. Or no, the ion charge makes it get all pixelated, and the fizz makes it fucking classic Game Boy colors. And it just goes away over time. I guess that's a cute thing as long as you weren't planning on doing anything for the next few minutes.
Yeah.
So, and also for the switches, they generally have timed effects, and some of the switches themselves are timed. I think there may be some kind of indication about whether the switches stay. Some of them stay pressed longer if you leave a bomb on them. Some of them don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I spent like 5-10 minutes on this thing Petty Fan's doing now.
Gotta be nice if the jump was more responsive. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, the jump is also not amazingly responsive. Sometimes it's not perfectly clear whether there are gaps that you can fall down between some of the platforms because of the angles the camera is at.
Yeah, this might be one of the worst
Also,
cameras
triangles
I've ever
are.
seen.
I get they're going with well, you see, it's sort of similar to Bomberman, only more cinematic. Only there's a reason Bomberman isn't cinematic.
Yeah.
Also, triangles just is not a super easy shape to brain.
Mm-hmm.
I get why they're going for it. It looks very futuristic, but it's futuristic in a way that is hard to do. Also, there's a lot of flashing lights and distracting colors, which, yes, it's pretty, not great for playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the controls are not the most precise either.
Let's do precise platforming.
And again, especially it's the emphasis on platforming with the verticality when you're at an angle that makes it almost impossible to tell how high a platform is. Like, is that triangle just bigger than this triangle, or is it significantly further up? I can't move the camera in a way that it will allow me to tell.
Is my next step the one in front of me, or is it the one off to the left? Is it the one to the right? Do I need to go to the one behind me to make it up here and do a dash jump?
And you do have to pay fairly careful attention to, so the next 3 levels are through that door to your top left. Or to the bottom right, or to the top right of the stage 1 area. I think those doors won't open until. Oh yeah, and there are NPCs that you can talk around and talk to around the world, and the camera lags as it goes into a closer.
There's a lot of camera issues with this. I think that's almost Unity just breaking under what all they want this to do.
Yeah, they're trying to go for a very flashy graphical setup, which, yes, again, it's very pretty, but that sometimes gets in the way of the functionality. Also, you do actually have to pay attention to some of the flashing lights.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the flashing lights are the only thing that tells you which way to go, or what that switch you just stepped on did. Or not what it did, but where what you just stepped on that switch to do is. Because a lot of the time, it's not right next to you.
And, like, sometimes it just lights up because you dashed. Which, that's fun,
Yeah,
but also...
The dash is also very flashy, because you're... So, yeah. The story idea that they're going for seems to be cool. The aesthetic overall is cool, but not amazingly user-friendly.
Yeah. This is much more fun to watch than it is to play type
Exactly.
game.
So yeah, unfortunately I can't overall say that this is a good game. It has some cool ideas, but there's just a little too much jank and difficulty reading, and even fairly early on, some of the checkpoints are a little far apart for the amount of figuring out you're trying to do.
I can kind of adjust the camera a little bit with the right joystick, but once it's weird.
That wasn't working very well for me.
Huh.
Like that was so I don't know. Maybe I was pressing. Maybe I was.
I mean, it's not very responsive.
Yeah.
Like if you
And maybe I was trying it in places where it didn't work as well.
if you just flicked the stick, that little movement I just did was me just flicking the stick. I could see you not noticing that worked and probably not trying to rank on the.
Oh, you have to
stick.
like hold it at an angle
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not amazing, and it does zero back onto where you are right
Yeah.
away.
So
Okay, so
they tried. If they just let me have this angle throughout, I could probably do this, or probably here.
yeah,
If I could keep,
but
if I
isn't
could lock
that
this
isn't
at
like
this
Bomberman.
angle, I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
But
that isn't like Bomberman.
this angle, no, it's nigh impossible to do this unless you already know. This requires either extreme precognition for this stuff,
or really good. Like you have to be paying attention to a lot of things at once.
Either extreme memorization or like god tier precognition.
And also sometimes you just get stuck in a bad sequence, like where because some things reset when you die and some things don't.
Yeah.
So it's quite possible to get caught in a loop where you need to wait a little bit for something to get into a better sequence, and it's hard. It's not always immediately obvious that that's the problem. So yeah, the music is pretty neat techno stuff. The character designs are perhaps a little high detail and jaggy for something trying to be Bomberman, but I do like the attention to detail of having the differences in I think they're functionally identical, and you can change them at any time.
Yeah, they had some flavor text when I was picking them, but it was too small for me to read.
Yeah, they're all made by different companies and focused on different things for different reasons. I went with the purple one, which is apparently a like fashion brand.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of cool ideas. Pretty to watch. Kind of a huge pain in the ass to play.
That is unfortunate.
It happens.
So what are we looking at price-wise, Adam?
Kind of pricey, as this is clocking in at $19.99, $20.
I guess I can see why it's expensive, considering how much work they probably put into the visuals and stuff. But I don't know. I don't personally think it's worth that as a play experience.
If they can get this technically up to snuff, maybe. In the state it's in right now, no.
Yeah, either in revisions to this, or if they try a sequel later or something.
Yeah.
Tighten up the mechanics.
Tighten it up. Give me an option to lock the controller, lock the camera where I feel comfortable. Then I could see going 20 on this. You know, fix the frame rate, fix the weird bokeh stuff. I could give this a $20. In the state it's in now, I don't even think I could give it a $5, like $5. It's just so broken.
Yeah, I was really hoping you'd get to the boss so I could show you what I mean about there are clearly supposed to be behavioral tells here, but I don't know what the fuck they are, because the boss is, oh yeah, by the way, your own bombs will blow you up because it's Bomberman.
Well, I figured that is, like, the second you mentioned bombs, is like, oh, I know what this is an homage to.
And it's not always easy to judge what the actual explosion radius of the bombs is.
Oh god, no, yeah.
Like, I have, even when I was otherwise knew what I was doing, accidentally blown myself up a couple of times. More than a couple of times. So yeah, I think that's what I got. I really... there's a lot I like here, but I don't know if I can recommend it for $20 in this form.
Yeah. Definitely one of those ones either it's underbaked because, funding they need to get out the door to get some cash flow into it, or just an unfortunate either choice of engine or poor coding, or it's one of those things
Yeah,
we're
they
probably
are
not gonna know.
definitely in some places. It seems like pushing the engine to cram a lot. Because I did notice some visual lag on like loading screens and
Yeah.
stuff. Thankfully, when I was playing, that wasn't a problem. In the actual gameplay, I didn't have like lag problems. But in the cinematics and loading screens, there was some weird stuff. So I think they may be overtaxing the graphics engine slightly.
Mm.
Uh,
Which, I mean, Unity gonna Unity. This is a Unity game, by the way, if we didn't mention that.
yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, that's about where I'm at. I wish I liked it more than I do, and I do still think it looks really cool and has a cool idea.
Yeah, stylistically, this could be pretty interesting if they can sort out the technical failures of it.
And yeah, Petty Fan had it, if not fully crash, at least hang for quite a while loading, and that happened to me too.
Yeah.
So it's not just either one of us.
Yeah, because we both have fairly decent computers. Like, we're not like, 4090s, but if you need a 4090 for this game, I think somebody may need to go back to the programming optimization board.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
Okay, then. So, one last question. What does NBB stand for?
It says it when you're loaded. It's Neon Blast Battle. So that's the name of the sport in universe. NBB.exe is like the game.
Right.
There is there is also a local co-op mode, which I was unable to try out, but it has King of the Hill, zone control.
Let me see if I can. Versus.
I wasn't able to do it, but they let you go in. It only is local co-op. They say something about online functions not working yet, which I don't know if that means that they're going to add them or what.
Or if it's remote play together.
Yeah. Although in that case, yeah, see Neon Blast Battle Bomber Woman Division. So if you talk to the guy, he says we can't actually do this. So yeah, there are blast ball, that's get the balls in the goal. There's a tower, there's a zone control.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's just the classic Bomberman blow everybody else up before you get blown up.
And then Queen of the Hill, ha 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 ha.
Well, because they're lady robots. So yeah, that's those might be fun, but I was not able to try them out due to lack of friends that I could play with locally.
Yeah. Because unfortunately, we are not even in the same zip code, so...
And like I said, online play isn't enabled, and we've had some problems with remote play together, so... So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'd love to give this a more positive review, but as it is, I have to knock it a lot for the actual play experience being pretty jank. So yeah, I think that's about where I'm at.
All right, then. So, yeah, that'll about do it for NBB.exe. And indeed, that'll about do it for the review session. So, coming up on the week ahead. So, we're back to regular scheduling. That being said, all of Wednesday's programming has been, been cleared of guests due to a combination of guests not being able to attend and the lack of ability to put feelers out for new guests. So, with that in mind, on Wednesday, October 16th, Fragments of Silicon will be reacting to the Atari Jaguar The Cave infomercial. Like, I'm looking forward to this one. It's a return to mid-90s cheese. And I mean like proper mid-90s cheese. Not sort of competent Nintendo Power packages that didn't go off the rails quite yet. Like, anyway, we do have a new episode of MSP happening that day as well. Once again, the guests had to cancel out, so inside the studio there, yeah, it makes for a very breezy Wednesday programming session, at least from my vantage point. Anyway, we do have a Friday show this week. We'll be welcoming Carlos of Mayeth. I'm not exactly sure how if that's how it's pronounced, but it's Mateh. They are the developers of Sprawl. Sprawl is a hardcore retro FPS set in an endless cyberpunk megapolis. Escape the walled city and take on the militarized government of the Sprawl. Fueled by the blood of your enemies and a mysterious voice in your head, make your way towards the spire and topple whatever lays within. So, yeah, sounds interesting. Kind of boom shooty here, but also kind of also what's that one game that with the samurai sword?
You're gonna have to be more specific.
That's an FPS.
Daikatana?
Ghost Runners.
Or
sounds like
Ghost Runners, yeah.
Sounds a bit in that vein. I'm like, anyway, don't think I've gotten footage or anything of this yet, but once again, I've been kind of not indisposed in terms of contacting people. Like, it was a wonder that I was able to confirm this guest. Anyway, so with that in mind, until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.